KNCK. This is KNCK's Community Connections. I'm Toby Nosker. This week, an opportunity for us to visit with an independent candidate who will be on the ballot come November in the race for the 1st District congressional seats in the United States House of Representatives. Joining us in studio today is LaPolice of Clyde. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you, Toby. Good to be here.
I do appreciate you joining us. In the August primary election, Republican Roger Marshall defeated a three-term congressman in Congressman Tim Huelskamp to receive the Republican nomination and appear on the ballot come November. You switching your candidacy in the campaign. Originally had filed as a Republican, now going to appear on the ballot as an independent candidate. Talk a little bit about the decision for you. Why the switch in candidacy? Why the move from Republican to independence?
Well, like I was just saying to you before this started, no party has figured out how to properly govern. Here in Kansas, we've got a Republican-led legislature and we've got a Republican governor, and we've had that for quite a while. We're a Republican district, we're a Republican state. And if you look at the Republican values, that system works. The philosophy is perfect, limited but effective government, fiscal responsibility, family values, and strong defense. Those are things to live up to. But the Republican Party today, in 2016, in no way represents those values, I don't think. I mean, I still call myself Republican because I believe those values. But the economy here in Kansas is deeply, deeply flawed. The limited but effective government. I mean, in Topeka, it's not limited. I mean, the legislature and the governor are trying to expand their powers. Right now, they're expanding into the Supreme Court. That's not effective. If you look at the federal level, the Republicans have led the Congress for at least 4 years of a vast majority, 6 years in the House. And in those 6 years, we've seen tremendous increase in our national debt. And again, expansion of power, not a reduction, not a limitation. And as far as family values, it's nothing but infighting and backbiting and a flawed defense where we send family members, sons and daughters, into these engagements in the Middle East to die for a cause that no one can really clarify. So you ask why I moved from the Republican Party into an independent. I don't think that I did. I think that I still hold true to my values. I think that I still believe in what the Republican philosophy believes. They moved. Now, the Democratic standpoint, there's aspects of that are really good too. Safety net and social connectivity, where we look out for each other and we're responsible for our communities. I'm not saying that that's a flawed plan either. The Democrats have some good ideas. The Green parties have some good ideas. The Libertarian Party has some good ideas, but none of them have the right idea. And so this move to independent, it's me being me and saying, hey, you're all right, but you're all wrong. And until someone can find a way to govern properly, I'm not gonna label myself with you until you figure it out.
You had to go around the state, the big 1st District, and get enough signatures to appear on the ballot. Tell me about that process, because it's been certified and you will be on the November 8th ballot.
It's a guarantee, and I couldn't be more proud. The requirement for any candidate is to file by petition. You're supposed to get a percentage of the votes, and for a federal race, you need 5,000 to be on the ballot for a House seat, for a Senate seat, for governor, for whatever you want. And every candidate is supposed to do that. Now, if you're in a party, if you affiliate with the R party or the D party, you can go around that and just sign a little check. It says $1,700. Here you go. Put my name on the ballot. No candidate does what I did. They always just write the money, because $1,700 isn't that much, in terms of the option of getting 5,000 ballot signatures. I went with that route, and because they made me. But it was also beneficial because I got to go out and meet so many good people in this district. I gathered 9,000 signatures. Those signatures came from 58 different counties. I mean, I now have 9,000 people that are already invested in my campaign, and they want to see me on the ballot. Well, collectively, we were successful, and I'll be on the ballot, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Let me jump in and take our first break. We'll come back. You talked about ideas. Let's find out what your ideas are, and we'll do that next. Again, joining us in studio today is LaPolice, independent candidate for the 1st District congressional seat in the United States House of Representatives. This is KNCK's Community Connections. KNCK. This is KNCK's Community Connections. I'm Toby Nosker. Pleased to be joined in studio today by Alan LaPolice, an independent candidate for the 1st District congressional seat in the United States House of Representatives. Again, 3-term Congressman Tim Huelskamp defeated in the Republican primary. Dr. Roger Marshall of Great Bend receiving the Republican nomination, but he will be challenged by Alan LaPolice coming up in the November 8th general election. Let's talk ideas. You brought up ideas. For you, what are the top campaign focuses, the ideas that you would like to bring into Washington if elected come November?
As I travel the district, I mean, my platform hasn't changed. Well, the party affiliation may have changed subtly. The platform has always been the same. I've got strong economic ideas, and I think that everyone agrees our economy is doing the wrong things. So when it comes to, like, say, tax policy, we're incentivizing the wrong behavior. Our Kansas tax structure gives huge tax breaks to those who don't need them, and it forces the rest of us to pay the difference, and that's wrong. For defense, again, I think that we're doing exactly the wrong thing. We've been occupying the Middle East for 15 plus years now. We have no plan of how that's going to evolve to our benefit or even to the benefit of the region, and we're doing it wrong. So in those two things, we're doing the wrong thing. The third and most important piece of my platform, and it's as vital that everybody understands, trust. Until people start trusting, at least on some level, their government, again, nothing else can get done. At the federal level, at the state level, I ask people all the time, do you trust your government? And the answer is always resoundingly, no. No one does. Now, we've always been taught to have a healthy skepticism of government. But what we have now is that no one trusts government at all. No one trusts elected officials at all. No one trusts the process. And I can say from personal experience that the process is deeply, deeply flawed. I mean, the way that an independent gets on the ballot is it's a hurdle. It's wrong. The way that people get elected, the person who spends the most money always wins. And in this last race, it was the same thing. People feel, and rightly so, they feel like you can buy congressional seats. You can buy the governor's mansion. You can buy legislation from these people. You know, everybody says money talks. Well, in politics, that's the only thing that they hear. They don't believe that politicians are representing them. They believe that they're representing special interests. And I'm here to tell you, they're right. We've got to change that. If we don't take the money out of it, if we don't get people to believe in their government again, nothing else will ever get done, and we'll continue to go down the wrong path. Everyone agrees America's going the wrong direction. But if you distill that down to the one fatal flaw, it's because we don't trust our own government, because we know that they're bought, that the people that we elect are on some level corrupt, that cronyism is more powerful than representing people.
So if voters are looking for a candidate they can trust, why are you that candidate?
Because I never sold out. I mean, I never took the money. I could have. You know, I ran 2 years ago, and I could have sold out. I could have made promises to the special interests. And I'll sit here and tell you that they asked. They tried to buy my loyalty. And I'm telling you, I've sat at the table, and they've tried to buy that loyalty. And they will fund my campaign, and they'll give me the necessary dollars. But I've got to be loyal to that interest and that interest alone. And if you do that, if you take a side, you're going to be excluding everybody else. And I told these people, I looked in the face of power, I looked in the face of money, and I said, you'll never buy me. And here in this election, those same people or those same special interest groups, they discounted me. They said, you know, you're not our guy. Common sense would tell you that if I was in the last election, I got 45%, and the people that supported me, they should support me even harder, because that's an investment. That guy got really close. I wasn't supported this time because they knew that I wasn't for sale. And it sounds it sounds sort of bitter, but I know that they moved on because I would never be corrupted. And yet the system almost requires that the candidate get corrupted because, I mean, the overwhelming cost. This primary cost $5 million. Well, me going out there and collecting $25 contributions from family farmers and from small town people, I was never going to get there. And they moved on without me, and that's fine. I'm moving on without them. I'm going to represent people, and I'm going to restore their trust. I've never lied. I have no scandals. There's nothing that I've demonstrated that would say you can't trust this guy. And until we can get somebody like that, some regular small town working class guy, until we can get that, we're going to have millionaires who buy elections, and people are going to continue to further dismiss or have contempt for their own government.
Let's take a break. With no party backing, I want to talk about the shape of your campaign, what it looks like heading into November. Alan LaPolice, independent candidate for the 1st Congressional District seats in the United States House of Representatives, joining us in studio today on KNCK's Community Connections. KNCK. This is KNCK's Community Connections. I'm Toby Nosker, pleased to be joined in studio today by Alan LaPolice, independent candidate for Kansas's 1st Congressional District seat. So let's talk about the independent candidacy and kind of the shape that your campaign is taking heading into November. You talked about the switch in party affiliation, but that also means no party backing then at that point. And you talked in the last segment about money and money buying elections. How do you intend to compete? What does your campaign look like trying to compete heading into November?
Here's something that's very important. There hasn't been an independent candidate on the ballot in the 1st District in decades, and there hasn't been one who's gotten more than 10% of the vote in over 100 years. But importantly is that there hasn't been an option for that independent. That independent voice hasn't been there. And this is something that people don't know in the 1st District. There's 112,000 voters that unaffiliate, that do not affiliate with the Republican or the Democratic Party. 112,000 voters who do not share the ideology of the R's or the D's, and they haven't been given an option on the ballot. This is the first time in a very long time that they have an option. There's 112,000 people who haven't been given voice, and I'm going to give voice to those people. If half of those people turn out, that's 60,000 votes. Now, the Democrats in the district, while they may be a minority, they deserve a voice. They don't have a candidate, and they have the option of going with an independent in November, and I'm going to give voice to them as well. The Republicans, many of them, 36,000 voted for me 2 years ago. If you put those groups together, I want people to understand that they shouldn't dismiss this run. They shouldn't dismiss this candidate, and the idea of an independent should be very palatable. But by the numbers, I can reach the required votes to win. And then more importantly, I've already done what I said I would do, which is bring people together and give voice to all of those different groups. So understand that I can reach the 125,000 required votes. I think I can get far more than that in November. The only thing standing in my way, and this is a sincere request, the only thing standing in my way is that I do need the financial resources to be able to give that message wings. I need to be able to buy time on the television, TV commercials, radio commercials, send out positive mailers. I never went negative 2 years ago. You'll remember that I never once went negative in the primary, most negative primary we've ever had in Kansas history. For me to get this message out and then give voice to all those groups, including all of the Republicans, even the hard-line Republicans, I simply need the support to get the message out, and that's going to require funding. So I'm giving this appeal. What is democracy worth to you folks? What is restoring our constitutional republic and the idea that our country can self-govern? What is that worth? So I'm asking people, don't dismiss this campaign. I'm going to give voice, and I'll do what I say I'm going to do, but I need your support. So support me in any way you can. Put a sign in your yard. If you've got highway space, put a highway sign on next to 81. But more importantly, if you can support me financially, if you can give $25 to my campaign, you're investing in restoring a country to its own ability to govern. It's a constitutional birthright. So I'm making an appeal right now. Help me battle the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Help me battle the special interest groups who have spent $5 million to buy this seat. We can buy this seat back. And so I'm pitching this. Help me out.
Let's remove the money from the equation. Let's take the special interest groups out. You have an attentive, mostly Republican audience listening to this right now. Why Alan LaPolice instead of Roger Marshall? What separates you two as candidates?
I've been very specific on what my platform is. And my platform is based on honor. It's based on integrity. My background should be enough. I am fifth generation farm kid. I grew up on a farm. I still farm with my dad, I served in the 1st Gulf War as a combat infantryman, and that's already a commitment to my country, and everyone should know that says something as well. And then I spent 16 years of my life in education. I'm currently serving on my district school board. I've invested in my community. I've invested in my country. I have done everything in my power to give back to my society. And I just want you to understand that reputation, that honor, that integrity is something that I want to bring with me to Washington as your voice, as your Republican-leaning, as your genuine, true Kansas voice. And until we get that, until that voice is heard over the other voices, the money voices, the special interest voices, until that voice is heard, we're not going to have strong ag support. We're not going to have strong economic policy. We're not going to have decent defense policy until we can restore that. I'm appealing to you just because you want your government back, don't you? I mean, I do. And I'm not a politician. Understand that this is a labor of necessity. I don't want to go to D.C. I don't like the political world, but I feel this obligation that if I don't fix it, no one else will. I've got 3 young daughters, and I believe that for the first time in our history, we're going to leave behind a worse situation than what we inherited ourselves. We're going to leave it worse than we found it. And until we can restore some kind of trust in government, until we can return to some kind of fiscal responsibility and moral responsibility, we're not leaving it better than we found it. I sincerely want to do that for my kids, for your kids, for everybody.
We'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show next. It's KNCK's Community Connections. KNCK. This is KNCK's Community Connections. Toby Nosker with you. Joined in studio today by Alan LaPolice, again, independent candidates for the 1st District congressional seats in the United States House of Representatives. Alan, enough signatures certified on his petition to appear on the November 8th general election ballots. Closing comments here. We have about 2 minutes left in the show. Some final thoughts from you to the voters listening today.
Yeah, I want to say, I mean, I don't mean to sound like I don't want to go and serve in Congress. I do, and I have a passion for it. I don't like the political aspects. I don't like the dirtiness of it. I don't like how when I talk to people, they say, oh, politics is just broken. I don't want to talk about it. They don't even want to engage in the dialogue about it. And this is what I want to say to those people as well as everybody else. I believe that I can make a difference. I believe in my heart that I do. A lot of people think it's too far gone. A lot of people say that, politics, you just can't, you can't change it. And here's my pitch. I believe that you can. I'm optimistic that we're not too far gone down this path. We're not lost. We don't have to have a resurrection or major upheaval. What we have to have is people who believe. We need a handful of people who believe in something so strongly that they're willing to sacrifice everything to accomplish that. Let me say this. This race isn't about me, and this race isn't about just this race. This race is about every race that comes after. If I can win as an independent, if I can win without the big money, if I can win on an honorable message and an honorable platform and in an honorable way, there are 435 districts in this nation, House districts, and there's 50 Senate states. If I can win in the way that I'm doing it, that's a blueprint. That's blazing a trail for every other district. I can't do this alone, but I believe that others will follow. They'll say, look, he broke that 2-party system, and he did it without selling out. He did it without party backing. He did it just on believing he could. And if I can start that fire across the country, then there's going to be more people that go to Congress. There's going to be more people that go into the Senate, and they're going to believe the same thing. And if they believe they can fix it, then we can together fix it. And that's my belief. I may be wrong, but I believe in it so firmly that nothing's going to stop me from trying. So here I go.
Alan, we appreciate you taking time to sit down with us. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Toby.
Alan LaPolice joining us on KNCK's Community Connections.